The door has always been there. You must open your eyes to see it. Too often we wander through life blinded by our own fears, doubts, and limitations. The door to your destiny is not something that suddenly appears. It has always been there, but in order to walk through it, you must recognize it. Consider a person standing before a locked door, holding the key in their hand but unaware of its power. That key is your faith, your imagination, and your willingness to step into the unknown. How many times have you overlooked an opportunity because it did not come in the form you expected? A woman once prayed for financial freedom, expecting a grand miracle, but what she received was an idea that if acted upon could have led her to wealth. Instead, she dismissed it. Why? Because she did not recognize that the idea was the open door. She waited for a handout when God had given her a hand up. You must train your mind to perceive beyond the surface. The doors God opens are often disguised as challenges, as moments requiring courage, as whispers in the stillness of your soul. To see them, you must be spiritually awake. Your state of mind determines whether you walk through the door. The greatest barrier to stepping through God's open door is not external, it is internal. Your beliefs, emotions, and mental state shape the reality you experience. If you believe that you are unworthy, that success is for others, but not for you, you will find yourself standing at the threshold but never entering. Wow. Why? Because a person who believes they are unworthy will unconsciously sabotage their blessings. A young man once dreamt of becoming an author. He had a brilliant book idea, but never wrote a single word. Every time he sat down to write, he thought, "Who am I to write this?" He allowed his doubt to become his prison. The door was open, but he refused to step through. When God opens a door, you must align your mind and emotions with the reality you wish to experience. Build the vision of yourself already walking through that door, embracing the new season with confidence. The mind is the gateway. Change your thoughts, and you change your world. Faith is the key that unlocks the door. Many stand before opportunities, waiting for proof, waiting for certainty. But faith is not about seeing before believing. It is about believing before seeing. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He does not dig them up every day to check if they are growing. He waters them, nurtures them, and trusts that the harvest will come. Likewise, when God places an open door before you, you must walk through it in faith. A man once lost his job and feared for his future. But instead of succumbing to worry, he chose faith. He thanked God in advance for the better opportunity that was surely coming. Within weeks, he received a job offer, one that paid more, aligned with his passion, and brought him joy. Faith does not wait for conditions to be perfect. It steps forward knowing that God is faithful. When you trust in divine timing, doors will open where you once saw walls. Fear will try to keep you from walking through the door. Whenever God presents an opportunity, fear will whisper, "What if you fail? What if you are not ready?" Fear is the last test before the breakthrough. The enemy knows that if you walk through this door, you will step into your divine purpose. So he plants seeds of doubt, hoping you will turn back. Think of Moses standing before the Red Sea. Behind him, Pharaoh's army. Before him, an impassable body of water. Fear told him to retreat, but faith told him to move forward. The moment he acted in faith, the waters parted. You must do the same. If fear arises, recognize it for what it is, a shadow, a lie meant to keep you small. Walk through the door anyway. Preparation positions you to receive the blessing behind the door. An unprepared person can walk through an open door and still fail to receive the blessing. A man once prayed for a business opportunity. When it came, he was not ready. He had not honed his skills, developed discipline, or built the right mindset. He entered the opportunity unprepared and lost it. God does not give us doors we are not capable of handling. If the door is before you, it means He has already equipped you. But you must do your part. Develop your skills, cultivate your faith, and be ready to step into the blessing. Gratitude opens more doors. Gratitude is a magnet for blessings. When you acknowledge the doors God has already opened, He will open even greater ones. A woman once desired a promotion. Instead of complaining about her current job, she started thanking God for it every day. She worked with excellence, spoke life over her situation, and remained joyful. Within months, she was offered not just a promotion, but a leadership role beyond her dreams. Gratitude shifts your energy. It tells the universe, I am ready for more. And when you are ready, more doors will open. The greatest doors lead you closer to God. Not all doors are meant to be walked through. Some lead to distraction, others to destruction. The door God opens will always align with His purpose for your life. When faced with a decision, ask yourself, does this door bring me closer to my divine calling, or does it pull me away? If it brings peace, joy, and a sense of alignment, it is from God. If it causes confusion and unease, be cautious. A man once received 2 job offers, one with higher pay but moral compromise, another with less pay but aligned with his values. He chose the latter. Years later, that job opened doors beyond what he could imagine. God's doors lead to purpose. Trust His direction. When you walk through, your life will never be the same. The moment you step through God's open door, transformation begins. You will see yourself differently, experience new levels of favor, and realize that everything you once feared was only an illusion. A caterpillar enters the cocoon, not realizing it is stepping into transformation. It emerges a butterfly, forever changed. Likewise, when you step through the door God has opened for you, you will not be the same person on the other side. This is your moment. The door is before you. Walk through it with boldness, knowing that what awaits you is greater than anything you are leaving behind. When God is opening a powerful door for you, don't miss it. The door has always been there, waiting for you to see it. It is not something that suddenly appears, not something distant or beyond your reach. It has been before you all along, but your ability to recognize it depends entirely on the state of your mind, the clarity of your vision, and your willingness to step forward in faith. Life often presents itself as a series of locked doors, obstacles that seem to deny entry, barriers that keep us from reaching the life we desire. But what if these doors are not locked at all? What if they are simply waiting for you to acknowledge them? So many people stand before opportunity, unaware that the handle is already within their grasp. They wait for external validation, for a sign, for a push from the outside world. But in doing so, they fail to realize that the only thing missing is their own willingness to turn the handle and step through. Imagine a man who has spent years working tirelessly at a job that drains him. Each morning he wakes up feeling trapped, believing that his circumstances are unchangeable. He dreams of a better life, a career that fulfills him, financial freedom that allows him to provide for his family without struggle. He prays for an opportunity, for a breakthrough, for God to intervene. Yet every day when he walks past the bookstore, he ignores the pull in his heart to step inside and browse the business section. Every evening when he feels an idea spark in his mind about starting his own business, he dismisses it as foolishness, thinking he is not smart enough, not connected enough, not ready. He does not see that the door has already been opened. Opportunities rarely announce themselves with fanfare. They come quietly in moments of inspiration, in ideas that seem small at first, in whispers that speak to the depths of your soul. The woman who prays for a financial blessing, but ignores the intuitive nudge to start selling her artwork online. The student who longs for a breakthrough, but dismisses an unexpected conversation with someone who could open a door for them. The single parent who desires a new life, but overlooks the chance encounter that could lead to a new career. The doors are there, but they require you to open your eyes. The reason most people fail to recognize these doors is because they expect them to look a certain way. They imagine that when God opens a door, it will come wrapped in perfection, requiring no effort, no courage, no faith. But that is not how the divine works. Doors often appear in the form of challenges, in the form of decisions that require risk, in the form of circumstances that demand trust. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea, unable to see that their deliverance was right in front of them. They saw an obstacle, but God saw a passage. Only when they moved forward in faith did the way become clear. In the same way, your open door may not look the way you expect it to. It may appear in the form of an ending, a job loss, a relationship that fades, a plan that falls apart, only to make room for something far greater. It may come as an idea, a prompting, a sudden realization that the thing you have been waiting for has been waiting for you all along. But in order to walk through, you must first recognize that the door exists. And even after seeing the door, many hesitate. They stand before it, unsure if they are worthy, uncertain if they are ready. This is where your state of mind determines everything, because an opportunity means nothing if the person standing before it does not believe they are capable of receiving it. A person's inner world shapes their outer reality. If you do not believe that you are deserving of success, you will walk away from the very opportunities designed to bring you success. If you do not see yourself as someone who is worthy of love, you will reject the very love that comes into your life. If you do not think you are smart enough, talented enough, or ready enough, you will find a reason to stay where you are, even when God is calling you forward. The story of the Israelites is a perfect example. They were freed from slavery, yet they still carried the mindset of slaves. God had opened the door to the promised land, but because they saw themselves as small, as incapable, as unworthy, they wandered for 40 years instead of stepping into their blessing. How many people are wandering through life, circling the same struggles, because they refuse to change their perception of themselves? They stand before open doors but never enter, because their mind tells them they cannot. A young woman dreamed of being a public speaker, but every time she had the chance to step onto a stage, she told herself, "I'm not ready." She watched as others took opportunities she once prayed for. The problem was never that doors weren't opening. It was that she didn't believe she was ready to walk through them. God does not open doors you are not capable of walking through. If the opportunity has appeared, it means He has already equipped you. But until you shift your belief, you will stand at the threshold and never step in. What is holding you back from stepping into what God has prepared for you? Fear. A belief that you are not worthy. If you find yourself hesitating, you must understand this. It is not the door that is stopping you, it is your perception of yourself. There was a man who spent years dreaming of financial freedom, but lived with a scarcity mindset. Every time an opportunity to invest in himself came, he said, "I can't afford it." Every time he had the chance to grow, he said, "I'm not ready." He believed wealth was for other people, that success was reserved for those born into better circumstances. And so, even when doors opened, he never walked through. Contrast this with another man who had no more resources than the first, but believed in the abundance of God. He took chances and trusted the process and saw opportunities where others saw limitations. When a business opportunity came, he did not ask, "What if I fail?" but rather, "What if this is my breakthrough?" He stepped forward, and the doors kept opening. This is the difference between those who walk through the doors God opens and those who remain on the outside. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your destiny. If you believe you are limited, you will experience limitation. If you believe you are destined for greatness, the world will begin to arrange itself in your favor. The key to walking through an open door is not found in waiting for more signs, more certainty, or more external proof. It is found in aligning your mind with the reality you desire. See yourself as already stepping through. Feel the emotion of already living in the blessing. When your mind accepts the new reality, your actions will naturally follow. God has placed an open door before you. It is not in the future. It is not outside your reach. It is here now, waiting for you to step forward. But you must first recognize it. And then you must believe that you are worthy to walk through. What if everything you desire is on the other side of this door? What if instead of waiting for a sign, you are the one who must take the first step? Do not let fear keep you where you are. Do not let doubt rob you of your blessing. The door is open, and the time is now. There comes a moment when hesitation must be abandoned. A moment when you must silence the doubts that have echoed in your mind for far too long. The door is open, but it will not pull you through. It requires an act of faith. It demands a decision. Too often people stand before their blessing analyzing, questioning, and waiting for absolute certainty before they move. But certainty is not the requirement. Faith is. Consider a man who stands at the edge of a vast ocean, longing to reach the other side. He has a boat, he has the tools, and yet he remains on the shore, debating whether the journey is safe. He calculates the waves, worries about the wind, wonders if the boat is sturdy enough. He waits for the sea to become still, for perfect conditions that will never come. And so years pass, and he remains where he started, though the ability to cross was always within him. This is how so many people live their lives. They ask for opportunities, but when the opportunity appears, they hesitate. They ask for change, but when the moment to step into change arrives, they shrink back into comfort. The fear of failure, the fear of stepping into the unknown, becomes greater than the desire to claim what is already theirs. But hesitation is the enemy of transformation. There was a woman who had spent her life in an unfulfilling job, dreaming of starting her own business. Every day she longed for freedom, prayed for a breakthrough, and imagined herself walking in purpose. Then one day an unexpected opportunity arose, a chance to invest in herself, to take a leap, to step through the very door she had been asking for. But instead of moving forward, she hesitated. She told herself she wasn't ready. She questioned whether it was truly the right time. She let doubt creep in, and as a result, the opportunity passed. She remained exactly where she was, not because she lacked the ability, but because she refused to move when the door opened. The most successful people in the world are not those who never experience doubt or fear. They are those who refuse to let doubt and fear paralyze them. They move despite uncertainty. They take risks when nothing is guaranteed. They understand that God does not reveal the entire path before asking you to step forward. He simply opens the door and waits for you to walk in faith. A man who wants to become a leader will never become one if he waits until he feels fully prepared. A woman who desires love will never experience it if she keeps rejecting opportunities to open her heart. A person who dreams of financial breakthrough will never receive it if they hesitate every time an investment opportunity arises. The door is open, but you must walk through. One of the greatest examples of this truth can be found in the story of Peter walking on water. When Jesus called him, the water was not calm. The sea did not suddenly turn into solid ground. The storm was still raging, but Peter took a step, and as long as his focus remained on faith, he walked above the waves. It was only when he hesitated, when he allowed doubt to enter his mind, that he began to sink. This is what happens when hesitation takes over. The door may be open, but if you refuse to walk through, you will miss what has been prepared for you. And the greatest tragedy is not that the door closes. It is that you will never know what was waiting on the other side. Some people live their entire lives standing in the doorway, never experiencing the fullness of what they were meant for. They let fear of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of failure, keep them trapped in mediocrity. They convince themselves that if the door is truly meant for them, it will wait forever. But doors do not stay open indefinitely. There is a divine timing to every opportunity. And hesitation is the quickest way to miss it. Imagine a man who receives an offer for his dream job. It is in another city, far from everything he has known. It requires him to leave his comfort zone, to step into something unfamiliar. Instead of embracing it, he hesitates, he makes excuses, he overthinks. Weeks pass, and the company moves on, offering the position to someone else. The door was open, but he did not walk through, and now it is gone. Contrast this with another man who, despite his fear, steps forward. He does not have all the answers, but he trusts that if the opportunity has come, it means he is ready. He moves, he learns, he adapts, and before he knows it, he is thriving in the very life he once only dreamed of. The difference between these two men was not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It was the willingness to move when the door opened. God does not require you to have it all figured out before you take a step. He simply requires trust. He requires action. When you take the first step, the path begins to reveal itself. The resources appear, the right people come into your life, and what once seemed impossible begins to unfold. But none of this happens if you remain in hesitation. You must be willing to let go of the need for absolute certainty. You must be willing to act, even when fear whispers that you are not ready. You must be willing to silence the voice that tells you to wait for a better time, a better sign, a better moment, because the moment is now. Opportunities come and go. Some doors, once missed, do not reopen. Some moments, once passed, do not return. The regret of not trying, of not moving when you had the chance, is far worse than the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. There was once a woman who wanted to write a book. She had the idea, the passion, the vision, but every time she sat down to begin, she convinced herself she wasn't ready. She needed more research, more preparation, more time. Years passed, and she never wrote a single page. Then one day she saw a book published by someone else, an idea almost identical to hers. The very story she was meant to tell was now being told by another. The door had been opened for her, but she hesitated, and while she waited, someone else walked through. How many dreams have died in the waiting? How many blessings have been lost in hesitation? How many people have missed their moment because they let fear decide for them? There is no perfect time. There is no perfect scenario. If the door is open, it is your time. If the opportunity has appeared, it is because you are ready. If the chance is in front of you, it is because you have been prepared for it. But you must act. God does not open doors for you to stare at them. He opens them for you to walk through. He does not place opportunities before you so that you can debate whether you are worthy. He places them before you because He already knows that you are. The question is not whether the door is open. The question is whether you will walk through it. You must decide, and you must decide quickly. Because while you hesitate, while you wait for absolute certainty, the door may close. The opportunity may pass. Someone else may step into the very blessing that was meant for you. Fear will always be present when stepping into something greater. Doubt will always try to keep you where you are. But neither fear nor doubt has the power to stop you unless you give it that power. The door is open. The path is before you. The only thing left to do is move. Will you step forward, or will you let hesitation rob you of the life that is already waiting? There comes a time when you must recognize that what you seek is already seeking you. The doors you pray for, the opportunities you long for, the breakthroughs you desire, they are not distant dreams waiting in some far-off future. They are present now. But the challenge is not whether the door is open. The challenge is whether you are in the right state to perceive it. Most people believe that opportunities come randomly, that they appear by luck or coincidence. But nothing in this universe is random. Everything operates by divine order, by a law that is as consistent as the rising and setting of the sun. The door does not open because you wish it would. It opens because you have aligned yourself with it. You have stepped into the vibration, the mindset, and the readiness required to walk through it. Imagine someone who has been praying for a new job. Every day they ask God to bless them with an opportunity. But when an opportunity arises, they doubt themselves. They say, I don't think I'm qualified. What if I fail? What if this isn't the right time? The opportunity was given, but because they were still trapped in a mindset of fear and unworthiness, they could not recognize it as the very thing they had asked for. This happens every day. People pray for relationships, but when love comes, they reject it because they are still holding on to past wounds. They pray for financial abundance, but when an investment opportunity arises, they dismiss because they are afraid of risk. They pray for new beginnings, but when the door to change appears, they hesitate because it does not come in the way they expected. You must understand that God's ways are higher than yours. The opportunity will not always come in the way you imagine. The door may not look like a grand entrance. It may appear as a small step, a whisper, a chance encounter, a decision that seems insignificant at the time. But if you are not in the right state of mind, you will miss it. A man once dreamt of being a leader in his field. He worked hard, studied, and did everything he thought was necessary. Then one day, a mentor offered him an entry-level position in a company he admired. It was not the leadership role he wanted, but it was a foot in the door. Instead of recognizing it as the path to his destiny, he dismissed it as too small, too beneath him. Years later, he looked back and realized that if he had taken that opportunity, he would have grown into the leader he desired to be. But because he was not in the right mindset, he missed his open door. This is why preparation is everything. You must be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready before the door opens. You cannot wait until opportunity comes to start preparing. You must already be in alignment, already be living as if the blessing is here, already be moving in faith, because when the moment arrives, there will be no time to get ready. You must already be ready. This is the difference between those who seize their destiny and those who miss it. One is always preparing, always sharpening their skills, always staying in faith. The other is waiting, doubting, hesitating. When the door opens, the prepared walk through with confidence, while the unprepared stand still, trying to gather the courage that should have already been developed. You must decide today to be ready. You must walk in expectation. You must train your mind to see the opportunity, even when it does not look the way you thought it would, because God is not limited by your expectations. He is not bound by your limited understanding. What He has prepared for you is greater than anything you could imagine, but you must have the eyes to see it. A woman once desired a life of abundance. She had struggled financially for years and wanted change. She prayed for a breakthrough, for an open door to prosperity. One day, a friend introduced her to a business opportunity. It was different from anything she had ever done before. It required her to learn new skills, to step into the unknown, to take risks. Instead of embracing it, she rejected it, saying, "This isn't the way I thought it would happen." She wanted abundance, but she expected it to come in a different form, because she was not mentally prepared to receive it in this way. She dismissed the very door she had prayed for. How many times have you done the same? How many times have you overlooked an opportunity because it did not come wrapped in the package you expected? How many times have you ignored the small steps, the divine nudges, the chance encounters, because they did not look the way you thought they should? You must shift your perspective. You must begin to see everything as a potential door. Every challenge, every conversation, every invitation, every discomfort, these are all possible keys to your next level. If you are always expecting, always in a state of readiness, you will never miss your door. But if you are closed off, waiting for it to appear exactly as you imagined, you will overlook the very thing that could change your life. There was once a man who lost everything, his business, his home, his financial stability. He prayed for restoration, asking God to open a new door. But instead of a business opportunity, he was offered a job cleaning offices. It was beneath him. It was not what he wanted. But he humbled himself and took it. A year later, while working, he met the CEO of a company who saw his diligence and integrity. That CEO offered him a new position, which led him back into the business world, but now at a higher level than before. The job he had dismissed as too small was the door to his restoration. This is the power of recognizing the open door, no matter how it appears. Sometimes the door does not look grand. Sometimes it is disguised as struggle, as discomfort, as a new challenge that stretches you. But if you embrace it, if you move forward in faith, you will find that it leads to exactly what you have been asking for. People often say they are waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on them. The door is open, but they are too distracted, too doubtful, too unprepared to walk through it. They wait for signs, for confirmations, for absolute certainty before they move. But faith does not require certainty. It requires trust. It requires action. It requires the boldness to step into the unknown, believing that what you seek is already waiting for you. You must train yourself to recognize the opportunity in everything. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what door is hidden within this? When you meet someone new, ask, is this a connection leading me to my next step? When you feel uncomfortable in your current situation, ask, is this the moment I am meant to step forward? Because the answer is always there. The door is always there, but you must be willing to see it. Nothing happens by accident. Every delay, every rejection, every redirection, it is all leading you somewhere. The key is to stop resisting and start recognizing. Stop questioning and start stepping. Stop waiting and start moving. Because the moment you decide to see the door, the moment you choose to align yourself with it, nothing can keep you from what has already been prepared for you. You must not be passive. You must not wait for life to hand you everything neatly wrapped. You must take action. You must move in faith. You must recognize that the door is already open. The only thing left to do is walk through. Life is constantly unfolding before you, revealing paths that lead to your divine purpose. But the challenge is not whether the doors are opening. The challenge is whether you are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally ready to step through them. Too often, people hesitate when opportunity arises, not because the door is closed, but because their own fear, doubt, and lack of preparation keep them from recognizing it. They ask for signs, they wait for the perfect moment, and they search for certainty before they act. But the truth is, the moment you begin to trust that God is guiding you, the doors that seemed invisible suddenly become clear. Fear is the greatest barrier between you and the life that is waiting for you. When an opportunity appears, fear whispers, what if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if this is not the right time? And so, instead of moving forward, people retreat into the safety of the familiar, clinging to what is known rather than embracing the possibility of something greater. But God does not operate in fear. He operates in faith. And faith requires action. You cannot sit still and expect transformation to happen. You must move forward, even when you cannot see the entire path. There was once a man who dreamed of becoming a speaker, inspiring people with his words. For years he read books, studied the great orators, and visualized himself on stage. Then one day, he was given the opportunity to speak at a small gathering. It was not a grand stage, it was not in front of thousands, but it was an open door. Yet instead of stepping into it, he hesitated. He doubted himself. He told himself he needed more preparation, more confidence, more proof that he was ready. So he declined the opportunity, telling himself he would take the next one. But the next one never came. Years later, he looked back and realized that the door had been there all along. He had just been too afraid to walk through it. God does not require you to be perfect before He blesses you. He only requires you to be willing. When Moses was called to lead, he doubted himself, saying he was not eloquent enough. When Gideon was called to be a mighty warrior, he questioned why God would choose someone so small. When Peter was called to walk on water, he hesitated the moment he let fear enter his heart. Every great transformation begins with doubt, but the ones who walk into their destiny are the ones who move despite the doubt. You must decide today that fear will no longer hold you captive. You must decide that no matter how uncertain you feel, no matter how unqualified you think you are, you will step forward in faith, because the moment you do, God will meet you where you are. He will give you the words when you need to speak, the strength when you need to act, the wisdom when you need to decide. But you must take the first step. There was once a woman who longed for a better life. She worked a job that drained her, lived in a place that made her unhappy, and felt stuck in a cycle she could not escape. She prayed for change, asking God to open a door. Then one day an unexpected opportunity arose, an invitation to move to a new city, to start fresh, to pursue a career she had always dreamed of. But instead of embracing it, she hesitated. She thought of all the things that could go wrong, all the challenges she might face, all the uncertainty ahead. She let fear make the decision for her, and in doing so, she let the door close. Years later, she looked back and realized that the answer to her prayer had been right in front of her. She had just been too afraid to take it. God's timing is divine. He does not place doors before you by accident. Every opportunity that arises, every nudge in your spirit, every discomfort that pushes you to change, it is all part of His plan. But you must recognize that His timing is not your timing. You may think you are not ready. You may think the conditions are not perfect. But God does not wait for perfect conditions. He calls you when it is time, and when He calls, you must answer. There are people who live their entire lives waiting for a better moment, waiting for a sign that is so clear, so undeniable that they will have no choice but to act. But life does not work that way. The greatest opportunities come disguised as small steps. The most powerful breakthroughs come in moments of uncertainty. If you wait for absolute clarity before you move, you will never move. You must trust that if the door is before you, it is meant for you. Imagine standing in front of a door that is already open, but refusing to walk through it because you are unsure of what is on the other side. Imagine standing before the very opportunity you prayed for, but hesitating because it does not look exactly as you expected. This is what so many people do. They ask for change, but when change presents itself, they resist it. They ask for blessings, but when blessings come in the form of challenge or discomfort, they turn away. But the ones who step forward, even in uncertainty, are the ones who see miracles unfold in their lives. A young man once dreamed of becoming a musician. He worked tirelessly on his craft, believing that one day God would open a door for him. Then one day, he was invited to perform at a small local event. It was not a big stage. It was not what he had envisioned, but it was an opportunity. He embraced it, gave it his all, and from that one event, he was noticed by someone who opened another door, then another. Years later, he looked back and realized that had he ignored that small opportunity, he would have never stepped into his destiny. Your breakthrough will not always come in the form of a grand event. It may come through an introduction, a conversation, a decision to say yes to something outside of your comfort zone. This is why you must stay spiritually alert. You must be willing to say yes, even when you do not feel ready. Because when you walk through the door, you will find that God has already prepared everything you need. Doubt will try to keep you stuck. It will tell you that now is not the time, that you are not capable, that you need more proof. But doubt is not from God. God does not place dreams in your heart only to let them fade away. If He has given you the vision, He has already provided the way. You must trust in that. Even when you cannot see how everything will unfold, look at your life right now. What doors are before you? What opportunities have presented themselves, even in the smallest ways? What discomfort are you feeling that may be pushing you toward your next level? Do not ignore these signs. Do not wait for absolute certainty. Do not let fear convince you that staying where you are is safer than stepping into something new, because the truth is God has already answered your prayers. He has already made a way. The only thing left to do is walk through the door.
There is a quiet whisper inside you that has always known the truth, not the truth you were taught, not the truth handed down through fear or form, but the truth that lives beneath all striving, all seeking, all becoming. It is the silent knowing that nothing needs to be added to who you are, for nothing has ever been missing. You are not on a path to become more. You are only on a path to remember. The world, with all its noise and glitter and measurement, has taught you to look outward, to chase, to compare, to climb mountains made of illusions and promises. It has handed you maps to destinations that do not exist. It has placed worth at the top of ladders built by the ego and whispered, only when you reach this place will you be enough. And so you began running toward titles, running toward approval, running toward perfection, running in shoes made by others, carrying burdens that were never yours. But let me tell you something sacred. The moment you begin to look within, to truly pause and sit with the stillness of your own presence, you will discover that everything you have been searching for in the world has been waiting quietly inside your being all along. You do not need to become anything. You only need to awaken to what you already are. You are already what you seek. You seek love, but you are love. Not the conditional kind that is offered and withdrawn, but the eternal kind that simply is radiant, unconditional, unshakable. You are not a being searching for love. You are love searching for yourself. You seek peace, but peace is your native state. Before the world painted you with urgency and filled your mind with restless noise, there was peace, and it is still there, underneath the chatter, underneath the striving. Peace is not a place you arrive at. It is the atmosphere of your soul. You seek meaning, but meaning is not found in doing more or proving more. Meaning is found in being and breathing consciously, in walking with presence, in seeing through eyes that know everything is already divine. You are not here to earn your place. You are here to remember that you already belong. You seek healing, but healing is not something granted by time or effort. Healing is the soft unraveling of what never truly belonged to you, the false stories, the inherited wounds, the borrowed beliefs. Healing is the gentle return to the self that was never broken. You are already what you seek. You are not an empty vessel waiting to be filled. You are the ocean itself, temporarily believing you are a drop. You are not a spark hoping for fire. You are the flame. You are not a stranger trying to find God. You are the breath of God, trying to remember itself. The ego will not want to hear this. It feeds on the narrative of not enoughness. It thrives when you feel separate, small, unworthy, incomplete. It will convince you that joy must be earned and that peace is a prize to be achieved. It will seduce you into believing that your value is measured by how many steps you've climbed, how much praise you receive, or how flawlessly you perform the role you've been assigned. But the soul knows. The soul does not compete. The soul does not compare. The soul does not rush. It simply shines. Your task is not to fix yourself. You are not broken. Your task is not to chase purpose. Your existence is already purposeful. Your task is not to seek something outside of you. Your task is to become still enough to hear the quiet music that has always been playing within your being. You are already what you seek. You have mistaken becoming for awakening. You have confused transformation with accumulation. True transformation is not about stacking more layers on top of your identity. It is the sacred act of shedding what never belonged to you in the first place. The butterfly does not add wings to the caterpillar. It dissolves. It surrenders. It allows what is false to fall away so that what is real can emerge. You are not becoming a soul. You are remembering that you have always been one. The journey you are on is not one of self-improvement, but of self-revelation. The more you seek outside of yourself, the farther you drift from the center. But the moment you turn inward, truly inward, you will find a stillness so profound, a truth so silent yet deafening, that it will shatter every illusion of lack. The light you chase in others is the light you've been dimming in yourself. You are already what you seek. You are the abundance you crave. You are the worth you try to prove. You are the peace you postpone. You are the joy you think must be earned. You are the love you keep looking for in every face, in every gesture, in every echo of approval. You are the home you've always longed to return to. So stop running. Stop trying. Stop bargaining with the divine by performing for a world that cannot validate your soul. You are not here to meet expectations. You are here to embody your essence. You are the mirror, not the reflection. You are the sky, not the passing weather. You are the awareness, not the thought. You are the vast, boundless field in which all experience arises untouched, eternal, sacred. Nothing needs to be added to you. Nothing. Not a title, not an accomplishment, not a partner, not a validation, not a future version of yourself. You are already whole, already complete, already enough. The only thing left to do is to remember. And remembering is not a doing. It is an undoing. It is a melting away. It is a sacred dissolving. It is the quiet choice to no longer chase what you already are, to no longer believe in the lie of lack, to no longer treat your divinity as a distant destination. You are already what you seek. And the world, this beautiful, chaotic, ever-changing world, is not your source. It is your mirror. It reflects what you believe about yourself. It bends to your inner frequency. It echoes the thoughts you trust most deeply. When you live from lack, the world echoes scarcity. When you live from wholeness, the world responds with peace. When you live from love, the world reflects miracles. The world is not happening to you. It is responding to you. And what it responds to most clearly is your inner knowing, that quiet, unwavering knowing that says, I am enough. I have always been enough. I will always be enough. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual humility. Arrogance believes it must become more. True humility bows before what already is. It does not strive to become divine. It recognizes the divine that already breathes through every cell of its being. You are already what you seek. Let that truth land in the softest part of your heart. Let it wash over every part of you that has been tired from searching. Let it reach the part of you that feels unseen, unheard, unloved, and remind it that nothing has ever been missing. There is no destination, only awakening. There is no other life waiting for you to arrive. This is it, and it is already sacred. There is no higher version of you that you must strive toward. The highest version of you is the one who surrenders, the one who remembers, the one who stops searching and starts being. You are already what you seek. And now, in the stillness of this moment, let the seeking fall away. Let the striving dissolve. Let the performance cease. And return to the truth that has always waited patiently beneath every thought, beneath every wound, beneath every desire. You are not becoming, you are revealing. You are not lacking, you are overflowing. You are not separate from the divine. You are the divine remembering itself. You are already what you seek. You have spent a lifetime trying to arrive at peace, at purpose, at fulfillment, as if life were a destination rather than a presence. But you were never meant to arrive, you were meant to awaken. And awakening is not a journey measured in miles or milestones. It is the sacred art of seeing clearly right where you are. The idea that you must reach some future state in order to be whole is the grand illusion. It is the veil that keeps the eyes of your spirit closed to the brilliance of the now. And in this very moment, beneath every thought that says, not yet, there is a timeless voice whispering, already, already alive, already worthy, already whole. To awaken is to hear that voice again. It is to notice the sacred hidden in the ordinary, the stillness between words, the warmth in a stranger's smile, the aliveness in your own heartbeat. It is to let go of waiting and allow this moment to be enough, because it is and always has been. The soul does not live in the future. It does not dwell in yesterday's shadows. It resides only in the eternal now, the quiet center where all seeking dissolves, where you stop running in circles and begin standing in truth. There's no grand awakening coming from the outside. The sky will not open with thunder to declare your divinity. Instead, it comes like a gentle return, the slow lifting of fog from a mountain valley. One moment you can't see the truth. The next, it's all around you, unchanged, eternal. And you realize you didn't find it. You remembered it. That is the essence of spiritual maturity. The moment you stop looking for something to change you and begin uncovering the changeless one within you. You do not need to transform yourself like some sculptor chiseling at marble. You only need to remove what no longer belongs. Not by force, not by struggle, but by the grace of awareness, by allowing what is false to fall away so that what is true can be revealed. You are not here to become extraordinary. You are here to remember that nothing has ever been more extraordinary than your own being. Even your suffering has not diminished you. Even your pain, misunderstood, resisted, hidden, has not changed the eternal truth of what you are. If anything, it is the very friction that has worn away the masks. It is the very breaking that has opened the window to the soul. What if all the things you thought were setbacks were sacred doorways? What if the heartbreak was a teacher, not a punishment? What if every closed door was grace in disguise? What if all of it, the confusion, the waiting, the ache of being human, was designed not to test you, but to bring you back to yourself? And what if, just for a moment, you stopped asking life to give you more and began asking life to help you see what you already have? That shift, that sacred pivot, is the moment of return. Not return to some former version of yourself, but a return to the essence that has been quietly waiting behind the noise, the divine frequency that never left, never faltered, never broke. The world may have tried to define you by your role, by your results, by your reputation, but the soul defies labels. It cannot be summed up in titles or bound by identity. It is the formless living through the form, the timeless wrapped in skin, the eternal breathing as you. You are not here to fix your humanity. You are here to awaken your divinity within your humanity, to let the infinite live through the temporary, to let the light shine through the cracks, not after they're sealed, but because they exist. This is the paradox of awakening, that your liberation does not come after your healing, it comes through it. Not once everything is perfect, but when you no longer need it to be. Not when all your wounds are gone, but when you stop identifying with them. Not when the noise is silenced, but when you recognize you are not the noise. You are the space in which the noise arises. You are the awareness that watches it all without judgment. You are the timeless field behind every story, every reaction, every identity. And in that recognition, there is power. Not the power that the world chases, the kind that dominates, collects, wins, but the power that liberates, the kind that needs nothing and gives everything. The kind that walks into the world with empty hands and an open heart, knowing it lacks nothing, and therefore fears nothing. The person who knows they are already enough no longer competes. They no longer seek to impress or persuade or prove. They no longer barter their authenticity for approval. They simply live freely, fully, and in harmony with the pulse of the universe. Because they know the truth. They are already what they once believed they had to earn. And when you realize this, truly feel it in your being, not just as a thought, but as a resonance. You stop striving and begin aligning. You stop resisting and start receiving. You stop waiting and start living. The seeker dissolves. The striving fades. The shame evaporates. And in its place arises something so profoundly quiet that it changes everything. Presence, pure, grounded, radiant presence. This is not about becoming something new. This is about embodying what's always been true. You don't need another strategy. You don't need more affirmation. You need only the courage to sit in the stillness of your own soul and listen. Listen not with the ears, but with the spirit. Listen not for answers, but for alignment. And in that listening, you will hear the voice of truth. Not shouting, not persuading, but gently reminding you, I have never left you. I have always been here. You are already what you seek. And from that sacred place, you will begin to live differently, not because you are trying to live differently, but because you are no longer carrying the weight of being someone else. You no longer need to wear the mask. You no longer need to chase your reflection in other people's eyes. You no longer need to become someone. You simply need to be fully, freely, truthfully, and that is where the miracle begins. Not in changing the world, but in changing how you see it. Not in altering the self, but in discovering the one who never needed altering. Not in running toward the horizon, but in realizing that what you've been running toward has been inside you all along. The horizon is you. The miracle is you. The sacred is you. You are already what you seek. There is a grace in slowing down, a quiet revolution in choosing to stop rushing toward yourself and instead simply rest as yourself. Most people fear stillness because they fear what they might find in the silence. But the silence is not empty. The silence is where God speaks without words. When you stop filling every gap with noise, you begin to hear what has always been waiting underneath. The sacred doesn't scream for your attention. It whispers. It breathes through the spaces you've been avoiding. It lives in the moments you overlook. And in those spaces, there is a recognition, not a conclusion reached by logic, but a remembrance felt by the soul. You remember that your worth does not depend on productivity, that your being does not need to be justified by doing, that the essence of life is not found in the acceleration, but in the alignment. What if you are not meant to become faster, but deeper? What if the invitation of this life is not to add more, but to live more consciously with less? What if your transformation isn't ahead of you, but beneath you, beneath the stories, the identities, the mental scaffolding you've used to hold up the illusion of lack? Let them fall. Let it all fall. The ideas, the expectations, the image you think you must protect, let them collapse into the truth. There is no danger in letting go of what was never you to begin with. The ego may panic in that shedding, but the soul celebrates. For every layer that drops is another breath of freedom. And freedom is not loud. It is not flashy. It is not something you post about or perform. It is subtle. It is sacred. It is the kind of freedom that comes from no longer needing to pretend. The moment you realize you are enough, without adornment, without performance, without disguise, that is the moment you return home to yourself. And in that homecoming, there is no applause. There is only peace. Not the peace that comes from controlling circumstances, not the peace that depends on other people's behavior, but the deep, soul-rooted peace that cannot be taken because it was never given by the world in the first place. It has always belonged to you. Peace is your birthright. Joy is your essence. Love is your origin. And truth is your nature.